Hello, everyone. Welcome to the debut episode of the Section 214 podcast, which is a dedicated BC Lions CFL podcast. I'm here with my friends JS and Hammer, and I'm Ascent. Um, yeah, we are gonna um, yeah, we're gonna spend like pretty much like the whole season just going through every game as much as we can. There's going to be some times where not all of us will be available, but we'll do our best to try and do each game as in depth as we possibly can. So now you might be asking yourself, like, why are we calling ourselves Section 14? Well, um, it all started 2 years ago. You know, I was with JS and Hammer here. Like we all know each other in the Vancouver Canucks, the Discord server before this, and still are to this day. But um, you know, we both JS and I have attended like 2 years ago a Lions and Riders game that around the section like it was around section 214, but we weren't exactly in that section. But I think we went to a few more games after that where we included Hammer and another member that's not unfortunately not here with us today is Simba, but he'll be around for some post game episodes as like as a guest, but you're going to be seeing us the most. So yeah, so um, I'll say that yeah, we've been excited about the idea of doing a podcast about the BC Lions because we figured that this kind of format would be best for for kind of the younger generation of CFL fans that we feel are underrepresented. Um, as great as a job as the other professional CFL podcasters are doing, we feel like we need like a fan perspective to, we need like a younger fan perspective to kind of just flesh out the discussions about the games and uh, yeah, flesh out discussions about the games. And again, we'll just see how it goes. And we will appreciate your feedback too as much as we can. Like we'll read the comments just to see what can improve. Um, I guess well, I mean, I didn't really get into the origin too much, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Like we got together from the Canucks Discord. We watched a few games, and then we decided on doing a podcast about a year into all of us watching Lions games. So yeah, it's all come down to today, and we're excited to bring you content for the upcoming Lions season. So yeah, I guess well, we'll start out with well, no, I'm going to be moving on to like we'll do like more in-depth introductions to our experiences for how we got into the CFL and watching Lions games. And I'll start with myself. I'm the oldest member of the team here. I'm 28. I'm going to be turning 29 in September 6th, so that's like that's going to be a game day birthday for me. So that's great. But uh, yeah, I'm the oldest member of the team. I've been watching the BC Lions since roughly 2004. My earliest memory of watching a Lions game was actually the Western Conference Final between them and Saskatchewan, uh, when Paul McCallum kicked I think the game-winning field goal. Oh, actually, no, he missed. No, he missed. No, he was on the wide. He missed the field goal, and And then, of course, well, I mean, I didn't watch the Grey Cup after that. I can't really remember uh that Grey Cup because again they lost that one. But yeah, I yeah, I've been watching the Lions for pretty much 20 years on and off. Um, I mean, mostly I want to say, yeah, between 2008 and 2011 was when I watched them a bunch as just going into high school, and that was a good time too. Of course, the Lions also won in 2006, but I don't remember much from that Grey Cup either. But yeah, um, of course, because I've been watching the team for, I mean, roughly 20 years on and off. I want to say that um, I've been like I even have like a lunchbox of Dave Dickinson up in the corner. I mean, you can't really see it, but man, like I'm yeah. Well, huge Lions fans, but I've been the longest. I mean, I'm also a fan of a bunch of other sports teams. I'm a fan of, and of course, and we might, our discussions might go into NHL hockey or baseball at times, but hockey will be a lot because I'm also a Senators and Ottawa Senators and Canucks fan.
We're all
Um,
Canucks fans.
yeah, we're all Canucks fans here, but yeah, uh, I'm the one that cheers for a different Canadian team as a primary one. Like the Canucks are the secondary team, but um, yeah, and I mean for baseball, I mean you might occasionally see me sub because like sub out hats. Like I might not be wearing like Lions hats all the time, especially for losses. Like if I feel really bad about a loss, I'll feel disgusted to wear it. Um, I might be wearing the Baltimore Orioles hat, which is
Ooh,
same colors, right? Orange and black.
that's not my team.
No, I mean, I'm probably going to get a bunch of questions of why I root for the Orioles, and I'll be happy to answer them. But um, yeah. But anyways, sports ramble aside, well, other sports ramble aside, I mean, like, where my fan experience merges with JS up here is that over here I'm not exactly where to point for. But yeah, where the fan experience it merged with, I mean, it started with I want to say like the 2011 Grey Cup, right? Or yeah, around that time, and between between the Grey Cup win and now, it's been mostly in 2012 was a great season too, but they got upset, right? I mean, that was like Mike Benavidez' last year as a head coach. And then after that, it was just like this painful descent into being just an average team that nobody, not even Lions fans, would like take seriously to be a Grey Cup contender. Those were some, I mean, there were good moments in the decade between 2013 and like now, but I mean, overall, it's been like a been I would call that kind of like a relative dark ages for our team, but we're just getting out of it with the past 3 years. And Hammer in his introduction will get into like you know just his main Lions experience for the recent years, right? But yeah, for me, I've been through the gamut when it comes to the highest of highs and lowest of lows. So uh, yeah, I guess I'll put it over to JS to introduce himself.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I'm JS. I'm excited to be here. I've been a BC Lions fan for about, oh my goodness, it's gonna make me feel old, about 13 years.
You feel
It's,
old.
Oh boy, how do
yeah,
I feel?
bit rich of me to say that, I realize, but that's how I feel. So The first CFL game I ever remember watching on TV was the 2009 Grey Cup. I was at my grandparents' house, and my dad and my grandpa, maybe my uncle, I think, were watching it. And I didn't understand the game, but right at the end, I said there was a penalty called, and my grandma explained to me, "Well, the game can't end on a penalty." And I remember him saying that. I didn't really know what it meant. It was only years and years later that I realized, well, that was the infamous 13th man that cost the Rough Riders the Grey Cup against Montreal. So my first ever game was one of the most infamous, one of the most, since we're not Rough Riders fans, hilarious CFL
No.
moments ever.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, we're gonna like we have our rivalries with the Riders for sure, and of course the Bombers right now. But don't be surprised if JF is gonna be like saying I hate the Riders so much constantly. I mean, I don't like the Riders either, but I'm like, well, I mean, they're kind of. I mean, my hate for them kind of dipped a little bit, but no doubt it'll shoot right back up if they get good again, right? I'm like, oh no.
I hope there's not too
But
much salt on this podcast.
yeah,
Hopefully not, but I guess we'll see how
yeah,
unhinged I get at times. But
yeah.
continuing my story a little bit, so that was the first game I remember watching. The first game in person I went to was in 2010, this infamous season where they played at Empire Stadium, that temporary stadium built just a few blocks from where I was living at the time. I think they were playing Edmonton. I didn't know. I
I
didn't understand
I
that.
was in an Empire Field game too as well. I think it was the home opener too. I
Okay.
can't remember what team they played, but yeah, I was yeah, I was there too. That was a unique experience. I was actually on the sideline too, which was pretty cool. So
It was an interesting experience, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't really become a CFL fan until 2011. We were at my grandma's house for dinner, and we were just well, I was flicking around the TV channels trying to look for what to watch. And the CFL came on, the BC Lions were playing, guess who? The Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'll watch it. And then I watched the rest of the game, and I loved it. It was so much fun. The Lions lost in a close one. And from that point on, I was a Lions fan. I went to my first game at
um,
BC Place later that year. Uh, the game, I don't know if either of you would remember this one. They played Calgary, and Paul McCallum set what was at the time the consecutive field goals record. I
field
think it,
goals, yeah.
and then later in the game, he missed one, so the streak ended. It was returned for a touchdown to give Calgary the lead, and then
What?
McCallum,
Yeah.
and then McCallum kicks the winning.
Lewis Ward has that record now still, I think,
He
for
does,
Ottawa.
yeah.
Yeah.
69 consecutive field goals, so obviously a
Nice.
lot better than
Funny number.
45. But and then so yeah, that was the game I went to. Paul McCallum won the game at the end with the last second field goal, so we got some redemption. And
Mhm.
then after that, my family became season ticket holders, mostly because I was such a huge fan in, I think, 2013. And then for the next 10, 11 years, we had season tickets. We don't have them this year, unfortunately, but me and my dad, especially, still big BC Lions fans. And yeah, excited to be here. All right, Hammer,
You
you
will
want
be
to
there.
introduce yourself?
So I'm the youngest of the bunch. I'm Lucas. I'm also known as Hammer Fan. I'm 17. Um, I became a Lions fan because of my dad, and as well as all my other teams, Canucks, Blue Jays. We don't talk about this other team that I adopted. It doesn't exist anymore. I was briefly a Coyotes fan. I
Yeah, hopefully that's not like a bad omen for
I'm hoping.
because 2020, like the CFL would have gone the way of the Coyotes.
Yeah, I
Like
know. I was reading back
was
then, and the
Doug.
CFL nearly went bust. I'm
Yeah.
hoping at some point this year I can get a Vernon Adams jersey up there, but it's way too expensive. So that's the state of CFL merchandising. Um, I briefly, well, not briefly, I casually followed the team in the 2000s, which I can call, you guys call it the dark era. I
Plenty of
would call
times,
it
yeah.
I would call it a Grey Cup drought because there is 8 or 9 teams in the league, and we had gone at least 8 years without a Grey Cup. So we're in a drought for being in the Grey Cup. I watched the years casually. I wasn't really too into the team, but I know the big names from those years: Roy Simon, Travis Thule, Solomon Elamimian, Adam Big Hill. I didn't really start watching them until the 2022 season when I met you guys. Um,
Mhm.
Midpoint of the 2022 season, I remember Nathan Rourke, he was giving it his all. He was outstanding that season, and I bought a ticket to a game. And after that, I went to every game of the 2022 season. The games were just so fun. So we can thank Amar Doman for that and our amazing GM and coach Rick Campbell. And since then, I've been a season ticket holder. So I'll be having the perspective of someone who's at all the games. I'll have a younger perspective because I'm surrounded by the older generation at the Lions games.
Yeah.
As we can tell,
It's even happening with me, and like I'm almost gonna be 30 in 2 years. So
hey,
yeah,
I'll be
it's
telling you're telling us about the your childhood memories in the 2000s, but I'll be telling my kids about the Nathan Rourke, the Vernon Adams,
then
BC
yeah,
Lions teams.
the one year when Nathan Rook balled out, I'm like,
1 year.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
because our league, the CFL, our best players, they just get pushed by the NFL. It hurts to have
yeah,
your player like Nathan Rourke
I
get
Oh,
picked up for
yeah.
nothing by another league.
I have
I
opinions about
know
him.
before, yeah, before we recorded this episode, I referenced that the NFL is like a sword of Damocles that's hanging over the CFL when it comes to just yoinking out our the best players, right? And and I I mean referencing to my fan experience too. I mean, of course, like the first example of that was Cameron Wake um, in 2009 and 2010, and he was like probably the most fearsome Lions defender I've ever watched. Even as a kid, I was just my following of the Lions was as casual as you were at points, but even then I knew that Calvin Wake was awesome, right? And he walked so that Aluminium and Big Hill could run. So in the mid 2010s, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
finally have my dad telling me about Cam Wake. My dad used to be season ticket member. He was for a long time. He's been to many Grey Cups, and I'll be at the Grey Cup with him this year. I love how he
great.
tells me how Cam Wake was so good. They had to change the rules because of that.
Wow.
So yeah.
I have opinions about Nathan Rourke. You could probably have seen my face kind of boiling with rage as they mentioned him. I'm sure I'll get into it another podcast. I have an unhinged rant about Nathan Rourke, which I will save for another episode. So
Yeah,
Say
stay
we won't
tuned for
mention
that.
his name
yeah, I
very
mean,
much.
well, can you imagine if Nathan Rourke just, doesn't find with NFL footing and then he comes back as like a rider?
Are you begging me to give this rant? Are you
No.
begging me?
I
You're
don't,
basically begging me to give this rant right now. But
well,
we got to save
no,
it
I
for a
mean, like
future episode.
yeah, I'm like football gods. They're gonna just give us the spiciest rants, I bet. Just
You better come here and nowhere else in the CFL. I want to see
That's
that.
right.
yeah,
If you want to hear the most unhinged rants after losses, come here.
fan rants.
Yeah,
Well, I
because
will unhinge and or we could have like a rational, like a mix of rational or unhinged. Like it doesn't matter.
well, when
Like
it's unhinged, it gets unhinged because we
yeah,
do game day chats in our Discord group chat, and they get ugly during losses, but
And
they
they
do
pop
get
off.
hyped during wins. So we're
yeah,
very
they
active
got
in that.
yeah, it was really ugly. I mean, the Winnipeg.
Yep,
I
knew you
mean,
were
yeah,
thinking of that.
yep. Yeah, the Winnipeg back-to-back Western Conference final losses in recent years. Those were very frustrating. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean, you failed to mention, and well, I mean, in the Nathan Rourke season, I mean, he played great with like half the games in the season, right? Because he got injured with a
he
foot
did.
injury, like
Yeah.
the week before we were set to watch him for the first time in person, right? Remember?
Yeah.
That Saskatchewan game, we came in with no confidence and got steamrolled. And I think we were down by like 2 or 3 touchdowns at one point. We had our second string quarterback go down injured, and I can't remember who the other guys were. So
It was a
that was
Yeah,
disaster.
it was
that was the
ugly.
catalyst for getting Vernon Adams, right? Pretty
And
much.
he's been fantastic. Can't wait to see him in action this year.
Love his work ethic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, despite the back-to-back losses to Winnipeg in the Western Conference Final, I think all of us can, say that we're confident this team can not only make it back to the Western Conference Final, but actually move on to the Grey Cup and possibly win it, right? But I mean, I'm gonna.
Or do we want to say this is our year? It is our year for hosting
Will
it.
this be yeah, we hope this is our year. I'm hoping this is our year. I mean, I've been waiting for a long time. Jeff has been waiting for a long time. Like
And I hope so.
I've been
But
equally
I
yeah,
waiting
don't
a long time despite not being dedicated for as long as you guys have. But I didn't know if the teams existed in the 2011. I remember my dad went to that Grey Cup. So
Yeah,
just-
my dad went to that Grey Cup as well too. So
Nice.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just I just don't know if it's a good idea to say this is our year, because this is our year to me always gives the Toronto Maple Leafs vibes. And well, we know how well that goes. They've won one playoff series in almost 20 years, and they kept lost in the first round again this year. We're all Leafs haters, by the way,
Yes.
and
Yes,
I'll probably just
I'm
drop
the
that from time
heaviest
to
Leafs
time.
hater. Yeah, I'm the heaviest Leaf hater. I don't actually. I can actually let you know. I did mention I'm a Senators fan, I think, but you know,
So it comes
because I
naturally.
didn't. Yeah, it comes naturally. Yeah, I'm the hardest Leafs hater there is. uh, or any Toronto sports for that matter. I'm kind of like one of those rare kind of Canadian sports, well, seemingly rare Canadian sports fan where, you know, the Leafs have traumatized my childhood so much that I just came to just despise everything Toronto sports, right? Argos, Blue Jays, Leafs, Raptors. Even now, I'm like, yeah.
I remember in the Canucks
Uh,
Discord, someone pointed out how it's weird if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs hater and a Toronto Blue Jays fan,
I think it was
which
me who
is,
pointed that out.
it might have been you, and that was exactly what I am. And I'm like, well, that's awkward because I do kind of agree with your reasoning, but I'm a Blue Jays fan because of my dad. So
And
I
then
yeah,
love
I
the
would
Blue
say
Jays.
that. Well, I mean, I would have said that too, but I'm kind of I realized that I would be throwing stones in the glass house because I mean, other than the BC Lions, I'm also in the NFL. I'm a Green Bay Packers and Philadelphia Eagles fan. But in baseball, I do root for the Orioles, but my second team are the Chicago Cubs, right? So, and Chicago and Green Bay are kind of like natural rivals too. I mean, like, why do you hate the Bears, but you root for the Cubs? I'm like, child, you know, this just comes with your preferences, I guess. I mean, hey,
Yeah, each
26,
sport is a different realm for you.
yeah. I
You can hate a
mean,
city for one team and you can love them for another.
yeah, hate a city and love for another team. Yeah, it's I mean, we'll probably be referencing like a bunch of different like years in rambling. Like I mean, you know, 2011 was a particularly a crazy year where
oh boy, was it
I
ever.
mean, yeah, crazy year for Vancouver sports, right? Where I mean, it continued from 1994, which was, I mean, again, it's before my time, of course, but like with a year before I was born, but yeah, that was like the two times where, I mean, when the Canucks lost the Stanley Cup final, the Lions won the Grey Cup.
And the Grey
But
Cup was at BC Place in both cases too.
in both cases, yeah, and also, you know, Canucks lost in Game 7, but twice, but we don't. uh,
Yeah, 2011 was the unfortunate first year I started watching the Canucks, but I also
Oh,
did have awareness of the Grey Cup at the time. I saw on the news them picking up the confetti at BC Place that they won the Grey
yeah,
Cup. So
I mean, you know, I mean, the one thing is that, well, I mean, of course, the Canucks this year they lost in Game 7 to the Oilers, but you know, maybe it's going to change it up. Like maybe the Lions will win the Grey Cup despite, you know, the Canucks not making it to the final, right? And losing.
I hope so. That'd be nice.
it would be.
I'd rather not have the Canucks have to lose the Stanley Cup final for a condition for the Lions to win the Grey Cup, but sports guys are all about chaos.
I
So
thought it would be written in the script this year because we were hosting the Grey Cup again like 2011. But
Well, if we had just
mhm.
gotten one more goal in Game 7, you know, we might have been able to. I think we could have beaten Dallas, and then who knows where we'd be. But you know,
this is the portion when our podcast turns from section 14, 214 to 214 thoughts, which I don't know how much hockey talk we'll get into this,
214
but
thoughts, yeah, just all over the place, right?
who knows? Maybe we'll get into this when October starts. But
there you go.
I'll be enjoying the Canucks off season. I'm not too happy with the way the season ended. So I'm not too happy with how this team ended, but that was like my 2 year phase and I got a jersey and now they don't exist.
Well, then it's a
It
cute
just
little, cute relic and a good story. So that's always
It
good.
is. It's a signed jersey, by the way. I don't know
Oh,
if I
even
told you
better.
guys that
No,
story,
I didn't
but
know that.
did Vamelka sign that jersey or no? Was it just
Vimelka signed that jersey. Yeah,
oh he did?
I was like one of those kids. I was holding the jersey up on the glass and Vimelka spotted me like the first moment he got on the ice for warm-ups. He pointed at me and the end of warm-ups, I tossed over my jersey with a pen and he signed it. the whole crowd was cheering for me. It was a good moment. And
Oh,
Oh man, that's awesome.
I love it.
Pamelka he's the reason I started watching the Coyotes last year. Basically the reason I became a Coyotes fan, and it was a full circle moment because on the same day I went to that game, the Coyotes announced their relocation. So the beginning of the end on the same day it all happened. So
Well, I mean, now does that make you a Utah fan then, or
I don't
is it
know.
in the same?
I don't know. I
'Cause
don't think I'm
then,
gonna be a Utah fan because I was fully a Coyotes fan. I watched a lot of their games this year,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
love the
The
charm of it.
Coyotes branding is pretty good, right? I mean, it's a shame that we only got that for like only 3 years roughly. So,
It's awesome. I love the
or
Coyotes branding, but I don't know if I'm going to be a Utah fan. I'm just going to be a Pamelka fan from now on and a primary Canucks fan because my passion showed in this playoffs.
There you go.
yeah. Well, anyways, like, oh, yeah, we'll ramble a bunch of different, usually mostly hockey because that's where our other area of expertise is in terms of suffering
Yeah, we just did.
unnecessarily or just.
We all know that office meme, I am ready to get hurt again.
I am
That ba-
ready to get hurt again.
that
Yeah,
basically
that's been the
epitomizes our
mantra.
existence as sports fans, especially
That would
mine.
be.
Yeah,
So
even when we're excited about the BC Lions, like in the back of our head, like even though Winnipeg, like we're recording this, like Winnipeg lost yesterday. They didn't look like themselves at home a lot, but in the
no.
back of my mind, I'm going like, oh man, they're gonna rattle off like 6, 7 straight wins somehow, and they're like, oh look, we're back, right?
Yeah,
uh,
Last
we'll get
season,
into that a little bit.
we have to drive the stake in no, season as best as we can. And if it comes to the playoffs, I just hope that we host the Western Conference Final this
Oh
time.
yeah.
But we'll get to that when we get to those season predictions. But I think we've done enough rambling for a little bit. So
I just do want
yeah,
to say that I was listening to an interview of a head coach in soccer the other day, and he did say an opponent's loss is a team's win. So it is nice to start off the season with Winnipeg 0-1, and every loss that they had last year felt like a win to us, which they're an incredibly
it's an
frustrating
extra
team.
win for us. Yes,
They're
they're just one of those.
frustrating when they win,
They are
especially
the
when you think
chief.
they might lose, and then
They
they
are the
get home.
Chiefs. They are the Chiefs of
Yeah.
the CFL, right? Like they're just annoyingly good. And we're hoping that we can be the annoyingly good team that everybody hates.
I would love
Because
that.
right now,
Me too.
yeah, because for so long, I mean, like even again, even in my younger days, I mean, like a lot, like the BC Lions don't really have like a massive rivalry kind of game that the TSN would promote, like the Battle of Alberta, or like the Banjo Bowl. Like we don't have anything with any other team. Uh, we're just kind of like that for just the redheaded stepchild of the West for a while, but now we're a scary team, and teams are gonna start to like hate. I imagine teams are gonna start to hate us once this team, or if this team can finally get some Grey Cup success, right? Because yeah, we're just
To us, our rivals are Winnipeg because I hate them for the amount of times that they beat us in the playoffs and in the regular season. And I don't know, that might not be how a rivalry works, but that is how you start to not
Well,
like a
we've created
team.
a rivalry.
Yes,
yeah,
it might be one-sided because they always beat us, but that's how it
yeah. I
works.
Hopefully, this will
think
change this year.
Yes.
yeah. I hope there's a change. I mean, like we have like first things first. Got to beat them at least 2 or 3 times at least. And if it comes to the playoff, we have to like finally put an end to the reign of the Winnipeg Blue Bomber Invitational and the Grey Cup. Right?
Slay
uh,
the dragon.
Slay the Dragon. Let's
Slay the
have our
dragon.
Slay the Dragon moment. Come on, Bonin, you can do it.
Come on.
So yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, we can stop our rambling for a little bit here, but I guess I have another. I mean, I have another section that I'm reading that JS is going to talk about some of the rule changes and certainly about the chips and football controversy that was going around earlier today and yesterday.
And this will be an introduction to me hearing about this. I haven't really caught up with the news in the last couple of days, so
Well,
take it away.
it's been pretty crazy. I guess what I'll say first is that on this podcast, I'm probably going to be the rules expert. Expert mean relatively speaking. I call myself an expert because I was a flag football referee for one season 8 years ago for 2 Saturdays. I did 26 games. So for that, I am appointing myself the referee expert. Yay!
Yep.
So if there's any sort of rules questions, send them to me, or you can flag them for me in our contact channels, and I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, I'll just quickly get over the rule changes that have happened this year. There isn't anything too wild as far as I'm concerned, at least. There's a new rule that they brought in this year that backfield players are able to deliver a low block on defensive players, but you don't need to be lined up out. Oh, you don't need to be lined up between the two tackles for that anymore. You can be lined up outside the tackles. So that's just a little bit of a change to the blocking rules. And kind of the more substantive changes are around the command center and the eye in the sky judge review official. So
Yeah, I noticed in a Winnipeg game yesterday, TSN did show like a camera view of the the command center for
that they did,
for
I remember
ruling,
that
right?
too, yeah. Because if people remember, it was 5-6 years ago, they had the command center, which reviews the plays that the coaches challenge and any of these automatic reviewing scoring plays or turnovers. But then they also have this eye in the sky judge who basically can come in and correct like obvious mistakes. Like once or twice last year, I've seen them call, roughing the passer or a face mask, just something that's so obvious it needs to be fixed right away. So they've changed the rules to allow no yards to be called by the sky judge without a coach having to challenge it. And they've also allowed the sky judge to intervene and call tripping of the quarterback. So when a player sticks his leg out and trips the quarterback, which is a clear penalty in the CFL, you can't bring somebody down like that. Those are both challengeable plays. Well, no yards has been challengeable 5-6 years, and this new
For a while.
tripping the quarterback and penalty can be challenged as well. Personally, I'm of the view that everything should be reviewable, but that will be for a later podcast. We'll just stay tuned for that debate as well. Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be controversy in this season, no doubt about it. I mean, like we'll get into that. Like, I mean, on the point about tackling, I think below the knees, right, or just
The tripping.
the tripping. I know in the NFL, there's a controversy about changing it for that. Wait a minute, was it it was something about just a normal seemingly like normal tackle that's just going to be made illegal, and it's like, oh man, I hope we don't have that in the CFL. It's just I it's not coming to my mind. I imagine it'll come like when I actually get to if I do get to watch NFL games. I mean, it's gonna come up, right? But
Yeah, I would imagine.
anything the NFL does, we have to pay attention to that, right?
Of
In
course,
terms
yeah,
of
the leagues are always studying
yeah.
each other, and I'm going to get into that a tiny bit later as well. But the final rule change, which I thought was interesting, is coaches are now allowed to use a timeout to strategically give the command center time to automatically review a play.
Oh.
Because the rule is if the next play starts, you can't challenge it, you can't review it too bad, which is why you often see if the offense benefits from an iffy call, they'll try and hustle and start the next play really quickly so the defense can't challenge it. So in this case,
Yeah.
you can call a timeout to let the command center give them, the commercial break 2 minutes to say, oh, maybe we should review this. So it's kind of interesting in that way. The other big rule change that was rejected, and it's been a subject of a lot of attention in recent years because this is having to do with kickoffs, because
Yes.
kickoffs are kind of one of the most dangerous plays in football where teams are running at each other high speeds from 30, 40 yards away from each other, and boom, they're colliding really quickly. So what the XFL, which launched in 2020, went bankrupt because of COVID and then came back in 2023. They didn't even play a full season then. What they do is the kicker is at his own, I think it's the 30, 35-yard line, and he kicks it down the field to the returner, and the defense team and the rest of the kicking team are lined up 5 or 10, I can't remember, either 5 or 10 yards apart from each other. So they're not running a long distance to collide with each other. This is done in the name of safety. So this rule change was rejected, and the CFL is just going to study it for the next season, see what comes up. I think, it's kind of wacky, but in terms of safety, it's not a bad idea. in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's gonna allow for the return game to well, I mean in the CFL like the return game is already like with the Rouge, right? Like, that's the best part about that's certainly my favorite part. Like you can have like a game-winning Rouge if you missed a kick, like that's happened
That
before.
happened for the Lions in Toronto a
It's
few years
happened in the
ago.
Lions a few years ago. I remember that. That was funny as hell. That
Oh, that
was
was great.
just task failed successfully.
Pretty much,
But yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I mean, like, well, the CFL kickoff game is, I think, obviously we're biased, but I think it's just superior to the NFL because in the NFL, the kickoffs are kind of just useless most of the time. It's like they'll,
Yeah.
they'll always kick it into the end zone and it'll be a touch, play will kneel for a touchback or it'll just sail for the end zone. But with the Rouge, you don't want to give up that point, right? Because every point matters in this kind of a game, right?
Do you,
And after a Rouge is scored, like, if you, I mean, like the kicking team gets the point when a Rouge is scored, but then, you get set at the 35-yard line
I think it's the
instead of,
40 now. They changed the rules to
what's,
40.
what's 40?
Yeah.
Yeah, only like a 5-yard difference. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want to get that, you don't want to get that point, right? Because you'll get the other team will have it easier to score points off of
Look
that,
at the
right?
like last year, the Edmonton Elks lost the game on a Rouge because the return man didn't know what he was
Oh,
doing.
yeah, I remember
He
that.
didn't know the rules of the CFL. He let the ball drop in the end zone, and boom, it was one
I
point. You lose
remember
by
that.
1 point. So
He gave up on the kickoff. That was wild.
Yeah, and of course with that famous, I'm sure it's been watched on YouTube, hundreds of thousands of views, but it was years ago where it was Montreal and Toronto,
Yeah,
and
oh
I remember
they
this.
kept kicking the ball back and forth, right? Just to avoid the game-winning Rouge, and it ended up being a touchdown
yeah,
for, I
I
think it was
remember this.
Toronto. Yeah, that yeah, I
That was
imagine
wild.
we're gonna get some crazy moments during the season for
Hoping lots
I
to
mean
keep us interested, keep our podcast more exciting. I hope so. Lots of wild
exciting.
plays.
Yeah, there's controversy with rules. We're gonna try not to, burn the refs too much. I mean,
try.
like not
We'll try.
try, we'll
Like
try, right? But
I'm of the
we'll be real. We'll be real if the
yeah.
Lions like don't have a good game and they end up losing on a bull crap call. Like we're not gonna disparage the ref like too much because
No, like it's not that good. Like I'm of the minority view that the referees actually do a pretty good job. I think they do a much better job than the NHL referees do.
oh yeah, of course you say
Oh
that
yeah,
because you're a flag ref. Like
But that doesn't mean they're perfect. I'm not going to be Ron McLean who always defends the referees because he refereed one preseason game a bajillion years ago. I'm not going to be like that. I do think they do a good job, but mistakes happen and they can be costly sometimes. And when they happen, I will tell you.
yeah, we'll tell you. I mean, but I will say, my favorite. if I can say that we've got like a favorite referee, it's Andre Prue because
Oh, we love him.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I don't know
it's the
CFL
accent.
referees.
It's towed down. That's fun, right?
Yeah, I don't know the
Um,
CFL referees' names, and I'm sure Jacob, you'll be telling us a lot about them this year
Oh, I
because
will. Yeah,
you go in chat, you tell us NHL or CFL if it's the
very
right
good.
call or not, and I usually
Very
trust
good.
you on that. So
All right. I guess
okay.
after that rambling, I can get into the kicking controversy. So,
Mhm.
as of 1 day ago,
as of one day, the CFL already has a controversy in the season, which is pretty crazy. So,
Which is a
let's
record, yeah.
so starting this season, the league had made it mandatory that teams would use footballs with these little chips and these little computer chips embedded in them to collect statistical data, which seems really interesting. But there was a controversy in last night's game where Winnipeg lost
Sergio
27-12 to
Castillo cost, yeah,
Montreal, which we're all really happy about, of course. But
yes.
the Winnipeg kicker Sergio Castillo, who played on the Lions, I forget 3 or 4 years ago, he was lights out last year, making 90% of his field goals. He missed two of his three field goals last night, and he missed one extra point. One of the field goals he missed, it was really weird. The returner returned it out of the end zone and then came back into the end zone. So Winnipeg was going for 3 points on that play, but they ended up getting a safety and 2 points, which I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
That's a
I've never
tangent.
seen that either. Yeah, that's
That it was originally a rouge, but then they reviewed it and determined he came out of the end zone and back in, which meant it was a safety. So that was fun. But
I love the CFO rules, man.
oh,
You
don't
don't
get
see
me.
that in other leagues.
No, you don't. So I will go back to the controversy. So Castillo takes the field after the game, and he says, first off, he says, quote, "I'm trying not to get fined here," which means he's about to say something really spicy. And then
mm,
he starts going off about these chips and the footballs. He says, I'm reading some quotes here I found before we recorded here. He says, quote, "It's very frustrating when you put in the work and are not giving the proper equipment to do well. What I mean by that is we have these chips and the footballs. Over camp, if I went 60% in field goals, that was a great day. And when we went with normal balls, 90+% the whole camp. You saw what they did out there. I don't know where to aim. Every time I'm out there, I'm literally praying the rosary. Every single guy is opposed to this. We're all against it." So
every
Imagine
single guy, like
this is what he said.
even.
So like this totally blew up overnight. Is like initially it strikes me as, oh, that just sounds like sour grapes and a sore loser. Oh, it wasn't my fault. It was the ball's fault. It was the referee's fault. It was the wind.
It was the
Some
wind. It was the weather. It was the football gods. I almost said hockey gods, but well,
some other sort of bizarre
yeah,
explanation. But interestingly enough, kickers across the league have come to Castillo's defense here. So Lewis Ward, who has, as we mentioned before, the longest streak of consecutive field goals made in CFL history with
yep.
69, he said,
nice.
quote, his quote here is, quote, "No other pro league uses chipped footballs in the kicking game, and every CFL kicker voted against these footballs." So it's pretty
Yeah,
unusual to see members of another team defending somebody who
yeah. I haven't heard
statement.
Sean White really. I don't think White really said anything about it, did he? Or
I haven't heard anything, but I
I have a
imagine he's probably going to
feeling
be asked.
if they
yeah,
said something, it would have been private because you don't want to slash the league before that all happens. And once one person speaks out like Castillo, they're all going to say something to make a change. So
it might
Yeah,
be a tsunami. Might be a tsunami effect in that way. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We'll
There's
have to. Yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on certainly players' thoughts as well.
Of
Right.
course. So, but there's more to this story. So, Saskatchewan's kicker Brett Lawther, who is also the vice president of the CFL Players Association, so the Players Union, said, quote, "The CFLPA has exhausted all efforts to try and get these balls taken out, and the league still waited until the night before game 1 of the regular season to decide to use these footballs that will eventually cost jobs and livelihoods." So there are complaints about the integrity of the game from these footballs, and there's pretty, at least from what I've seen, pretty unanimous opposition to these footballs. Apparently, of all the kickers and punters in the league, it was a 10-1 vote against using these footballs because
Wow, it's a.
they were mandatory for all plays during the game. So that means offense, defense, running, throwing, they're using these chipped footballs, and that would have also included special teams. But so what happened few hours before recording is that the commissioner, Randy Ambrosi, releases a statement that they're changing the rules mid-season, and now the footballs are optional for special teams plays. So the team gets to decide before the game, are you going to use these footballs for the special teams plays, or are you going to use regular footballs? Which I think we can probably all agree that that was the right call to do that. The only
Yeah, considering deflate, well, I mean, this is a different kind of football problem, but deflate gate
Oh
and the
yeah.
NFL, and of course, yeah, just a little amount of well, but small change in the PSI pressure in the ball like kind of made might have made it easier for Tom Brady to score touchdowns. But I mean, yeah, I mean, both the NFL and the CFL are no stranger to, well, now we're no stranger to like football makeup controversies or just
Yeah.
now. I also mentioned before the podcast with you guys that or before the recording that I have a conspiracy theory about this, about these kind of chips in the football. I'm going to be straight up. It's unfounded. I'm just going straight up on, you know,
Good. The law student in me is breathing a sigh of relief, so we're not going to get sued.
yeah. I'm just going to be straight up. Like, okay, I'm being straight up. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing here, but I think the reason why the chips were placed on those footballs is to help with gambling companies and parlay stats, right? Just to help with just gauging the accuracy of a kicker. I mean, that's what I think. I want, I want to. I don't want the gambling company to start coming after me and going like, "No, you silent the center." Yeah, I think, yeah, just the reason why those chips are in those footballs are probably just to help out uh with bets and stuff like that. But yeah, oh
I mean,
Uh,
that makes sense. Is there any evidence that this is true? No.
no,
Is it realistically true? No. Is it plausible? Maybe. But is
plausible,
it
guess we'll
maybe.
actually
see.
true? No. That's my lawyer saying that.
We've not
Yeah,
seen what they are implemented for so far.
No. But
Um,
now they're not required.
yeah.
And
So if they decided they were this easy to remove, then what are they
yeah.
for?
yeah.
And
What are they for? I mean, one way. I mean, this just came to me. I mean, like one way this could help with chips and footballs is that I'd love to have like a motion center. And like sometimes when a football goes like over the uprights, you know,
yes.
it will help the referees determine if the field goal or extra point is good or not. That's
Yeah.
one benefit I could see with those kind of chips right too,
Oh,
right? But
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it'll be
guess
That's a good.
it would be similar with like a hypothetical, puck tracking technology in hockey that goes over the red line. Right?
yeah.
That's all.
I
I
guess
feel like
Yeah,
they should
that's
do that.
in
They do
hockey
that in
for sure they should.
soccer, yeah, but they don't
Yeah,
do that in hockey.
they
So
should.
yeah, with VAR, yeah. I may not
VAR.
know a whole lot about, yeah, I may not know a whole lot about soccer, but I know about VAR. I know about the fun chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know way more about soccer than any of you guys. I know a lot about VAR, and the new challenges thing in the CFL is kind of giving me shades of VAR. What do you call it? The camera in the air. I forgot already.
Yeah, the drone that's attached to all these
Yeah,
cables.
that's what it
Yeah.
reminds me of. And they're doing automatic reviews now, so I think that's a good thing. I mean, I like your
Yeah.
point where they can review anything in the command center. I don't like the idea that a coach can challenge any play, so
I
Oh,
we'll
and
mean,
see how it
speaking of,
works out. Yeah.
well, yeah,
I,
speaking of
I actually had
this,
a
I mean, yeah,
I
yeah,
actually had
you
a thought
go.
I had a thought about the challenges actually. So this mid-season rule change that just happened out of controversy reminded me of another mid-season rule change that related to what we were just talking to, challenges. If you remember back in 2017, they made illegal contact challengeable, and coaches had 2 or 3 challenges per game at the time. So pretty often we were seeing these coaches challenge illegal contact infractions, which occurred well away from the ball, didn't impact the play, but these calls were getting reversed. And it
Yeah,
was really
it
frustrating,
slowed
slowed the
down the
game
game so
down.
much. Yeah, it was frustrating to watch. Well, I mean, it was frustrating to watch on the TV, but when you're at the game and you're
Yeah,
tired and you just like, oh man, I gotta get home by like
yeah.
11 or
And these
oh
endless reviews. So what
They
they
don't put it on
did,
the Jumbotron. They
no,
never
they
put,
don't.
yeah.
So what they
yeah,
did was they made it, you had their interim, band-aid solution was 1 challenge per game, that's it.
and
I mean,
well,
Which personally I
and you have
didn't
to have a
agree with, but
timeout.
like it did help speed the game up and kind of put an end to that problem.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I'm gonna. I mean, I'm also gonna be the stats person. Like, well, with every podcast episode, I'll keep track of the stats, but I'll also see like how many. I'm gonna count how many challenges are gonna be successful, and I've,
Hmm.
I'm also thinking of creating like an Excel spreadsheet. But I mean, just I'm I'm kind of brainstorming on the fly here. But yeah, it's
That's it. I like that.
I'm gonna have way more opinions once the season actually starts
Oh, me
because
too.
I don't really have a
yeah.
basis here because we've just been out of a 6 month off season or more than 6 month off season. So
Correction.
Yeah, 6 months and 2 weeks, right? Because our off season started when Lions got eliminated. So
we've
Yeah,
been saying for so long, is it June yet? And we finally made it to
and
June.
it's
So
June.
I'm
yeah,
we're
and I
1 week
think
away from
that's
the whole order.
a good enough segue into talking about our season predictions and the schedule. Looking at the schedule and like what are the important games and I call the important games 4-course meal games because because when you're beating up on minnow opponents, like, you know, teams that are down on their luck, like the Elks were last year, they were horrible. Or I mean, and Saskatchewan and Calgary were mid last year. I mean, like when you're beating up on those teams, or, you know, you know, even if you have like a close win against them, I mean, it's stressful, yes, but I mean, like they're kind of, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, you were expected to beat those teams, but when you beat the big teams like Toronto or Winnipeg, right? And I think you know, BC, like we're a big team now too, I think.
We gotta
I'd
beat
like
the
to
big
think so.
teams. Yes,
Yes, I like
with our
being
big
a
owner.
big team. We're a big owner with big ideas.
Oh, we love
And
him.
hi, Amaro, if you're watching this,
We're huge fans.
love
We
you.
love
Huge
you,
fans.
Omar.
Come on the
Yes.
podcast one day.
Yes. Uh, um, yeah, I mean, well, I guess we're getting the season predictions. I mean, I haven't, I mean, I realize I haven't talked about guest. Well, I haven't talked about our guest host too much, but he did, like Simba. I mean, he is gonna pop in every now and then to, you know, talk about the game with us. But you know, he's pretty busy with schooling right now.
He will
So
be our hype man when he joins.
Oh
yes,
yes, I'm
he
excited
will
to
be
have
our
him
hype
on.
man, especially for wins. I mean, like he's gonna bring his own energy.
You guys got into a
Yeah.
call a couple times last year. I wasn't available to join because I was at the games, but you guys called during the games and he was hyping you guys
There
up.
was a legendary call where we were watching a game, and he was in London at the time, and he was watching it like 3 in the morning his time, and he was
Yeah,
watching it.
that's dedication.
I had my iPad facing my TV, so he could see the game. Didn't have to use any sort of illegal live stream because I've got cable here. I had my iPad facing the TV and streaming the game on my camera, and he was there at 3 in the morning watching it. That takes dedication.
And
Yeah,
I was
well, I
at the
mean,
game.
You were.
Yeah.
yeah. Now he's back home, and well, he just returned from India too. But yeah, it's we're happy to have him back, and you know, I hope he gets to come on like you know, the odd time here and out. But yeah, but yeah, he did he do? I think he did season predictions. I'll start with my own.
I gotta
I'll start with my own here. Let's just
figure out
go
what
back into my
mine are.
Discord chat.
I did not do a season prediction.
No, I did
I
not.
did not, so I will have to do one on the spot, or
I
I will just
will.
have to agree with you guys.
Yeah,
Are we doing predictions for like all the teams or just the Lions?
yeah, all the teams.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I did put up a list
Okay, well,
somewhere. I'm trying to find it.
I mean, like it's gonna be, I think, a really interesting season. Like for me, I guess I'll just kind of talk off the top of my head.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
Okay.
go for
Okay,
it.
so
I'll probably just agree
yeah.
with what you say.
Okay, so my predictions for the CFL standings. I've got the BC Lions at number 1. Even though Winnipeg lost yesterday, I still think they're going to be number 2 in the division. It's a very thin edge, though. I mean, like, you know, they've been to 5 straight. Well, no, yeah, they've been to like a
4 straight
bunch of
Grey
Grey
Cups.
Cups, and yeah, 4 straight Grey Cups, and I think they're gonna. I mean, they are the oldest team on average in the CFL. I learned about that in the broadcast yesterday, but yeah, they are. I still think they're good, but good enough to be at least in the top 2. And then I got Saskatchewan at number 3, even with like, I mean, Saskatchewan just cut. I think he just cut Flying, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, they kind of have like a QB killer style going on ever since Kevin Durant retired.
Straight news out of today, they just picked up Marcus Sales, who
Yeah.
we cut a couple weeks ago.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
A couple days
I've
ago,
got
rather.
I guess I should say I don't know if this is gonna affect anyone's predictions, but we're recording this during the Friday night football game, Hamilton at Calgary. We do have a final, Hamilton 24, Calgary 32. Ended up being a closer game than it looked, but
Oh,
Calgary gets off to a 1-0 start at home.
barely. Yeah, they finally beat. Well, they beat Bo Levi's revenge game is shut down. I was terrified of Bo Levi Mitchell the whole
Oh,
time
me
he was in
too.
Calgary. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, to go off on a tangent here. I mean, like I remember like Bo Levi getting injured in a game, and then Nick Arbuckle came in, and then he completed the comeback against BC. That was one of
Oh
my
man.
uh, one of my most hated games I remember in recent memory. But yeah, anyways, yeah. So Edmonton is number 4. So yeah, BC number 1, Winnipeg number 2, Saskatchewan number 3, Edmonton number 4. And despite Calgary winning today, they are number 1 in the West right now. I think they're probably gonna still be a bad team. I think they're gonna be last place in the West, but
The West is getting better from the
West is
bottom.
getting in the bottom. I do fit. I do think. I mean, with Edmonton, I mean, all the
Yeah.
focus. I mean, all the focus in Edmonton is obviously on the Oilers and doing the Stanley Cup final. But I think the Elks. I mean, even though I have them at number 4, I won't be surprised if they'll be surprising everyone. They could get into the upper echelon if they wanted to, right? I mean, they much like us, they've also gone through a lot of recent painful seasons. They've had like a bunch of. I remember there was this crazy streak of home losses where it lasted for
Oh,
2 years, right? It was
21 straight home losses or
miserable.
something.
Yeah, it was
Pretty dreadful.
pretty dreadful.
I actually started to feel
As
bad for
much
them.
as much as we don't like Edmonton sports teams, I mean, the Elks are kind of just like, wow, that's a whole nother level of
And
substitute.
I felt sad for
Yeah,
them last year. I honestly felt like it was a CFL franchise that was dying.
They
They had no
literally did.
answers. They they had like B starters on their starters.
And
So
they were not getting good attendance. I remember the one game they were playing Winnipeg, and they were Winnipeg was like flying start. They were playing so well, and then they go into Edmonton on, I don't know, Friday Night Football, and the Elks go up 22-0, and all
you
of
remind
us
me.
are like, oh my goodness, the Elks are
oh my
gonna beat
God,
Winnipeg, and then Winnipeg came back to win, and I ended up stress eating ice cream right out of the cart.
That was a horrible
we
night.
were
That was horrible.
it felt bad to be temporary Edmonton fans, but that was because Winnipeg we hated more. It
Yeah.
was
It
We were
was
fans of any team that Winnipeg played against the whole season because, as I
Yep,
said, an opponent's loss is our win.
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's my West predictions, and then in the East, I've got. I mean, Montreal also. I mean, Montreal beat Winnipeg yesterday. I do think they're my pick to probably return to the Grey Cup. I'd love to see a BC Montreal Grey Cup final.
That'd be
Yep.
Uh,
great.
yeah, I mean,
But they played
well, I
great
mean,
yesterday.
yeah, they played fantastic. I mean, of course, I say that because I'm also aware that Montreal has had the massive struggles in BC players somehow. Right? Like they've lost a bunch of like dating back to 2000. They've only won like once in BC players, and I
Really?
know
Wow.
Montreal.
Oof.
Yeah, it's crazy how strangely they lose almost at like 99% of the time they go to. But yeah, anyway, but I think they're a quality football team, much like ours, and I think they're gonna be number 1 in the East. And I've got Ottawa number 2.
Really?
Yeah, some in the Ottawa Senators. There's some Red
Hmm.
Blacks fans in the Ottawa Senators Discord that I also
Slight
moderate. And
bias.
slight, yeah, slight bias. I mean, I'm not like rooting. Like the Red Blacks are not my second CFL team, but they were against Calgary. Like I was rooting for them the whole time. But it was, but I'm I'm hoping Ottawa has a good season this year too, because yeah, they've also been through the ringer in bad seasons, much like Edmonton.
They've got a great fan
Um,
base there, great stadium too. I was lucky enough to go to a game in Ottawa last
oh
year. They've got a fantastic stadium there. They let everybody on the field after every game. It
Oh,
was
it's
really
just
it was
amazing.
it was really amazing. Yeah, that I
yeah,
really hope they start to do well this year.
yeah. I have them at number 2. I mean, yeah, some in Senator's Discord will be happy to hear
Dustin
that, I'm
Crum.
sure.
They had a rotation of quarterbacks last
Yeah.
year, but Dustin Crum really caught my eye, and he gave me shades of a quarterback that used to play for us, Nathan Ork. He was really good running the ball, so
You hear that name
I think
again.
this could
Yeah,
be his
well,
breakout year. I know I didn't want to
yeah,
say
as
that name,
long
but
as long as it's not Jonathan Jennings, because
Oh my
it
goodness.
doesn't yeah, it
Oh,
doesn't turn out to be Jonathan, like the Jonathan Jennings experience. I mean, it was good for us for a couple of years, and then I career fell off the wagon after that. Like,
oh boy.
um, I mean, I guess while I'm on the subject of the Red Blacks, I mean, the Lions do have the head coach that Rick Campbell. He did coach the Red Blacks to their sole Grey Cup victory in 2016.
what a run.
That was a
Yeah,
fantastic game. I remember it. Beat Calgary in overtime.
Henry Burris, that was his last year,
That
and
was, oh, I was so happy. I was so happy for him. Big Henry Burris
me
fan.
too. Yeah, I watched. Yeah, I mean, again, I watched Henry Burris when he was on Hamilton in the 2013 Grey Cup in Saskatchewan. Like, I was at that game, and the Riders fans were just like chanting his name over and over, just getting him off his game, and oh, it was, it was painful. It was painful to be in person to see the Riders, win their last Grey Cup too. Like, they haven't been to a Grey Cup since that year. But J.Y. Simon was on that team in his last game too, so
Leroy Simon, man.
yeah, I really wish. I mean, yeah, you guys were around to like see J.Y. Simon in his prime, right? Like he was,
Greatness.
right? Yeah, he was. um. So yeah, like yeah. So Montreal #1, Ottawa #2, and I have Toronto at #3. Um, and of course, BC's playing Toronto on the road. I mean, we'll get into that in our game preview, but yeah, yeah, we'll get into Toronto more in our game preview to end up this first episode. But yeah, and then I have Hamilton at last place, and so far I'm right.
So far.
Last place, yeah.
Yeah.
Calgary, not so far, but
No,
that'll even
no.
out over
Okay.
time.
It's only one game, so got a long
Yep.
way to go. Honestly, I think
Yeah.
I'll concur with those predictions,
I just want to say for my predictions, I have BC #1. I agree with that. Winnipeg #2. #3, I think it's going to be the Edmonton Elks because I was really impressed by Trey Ford last year.
Yep.
Saskatchewan, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know who the hell their quarterback's going to be. And they were just generally very inconsistent last year and the year before that. They had like a 12 or 6-12 record both years or something like that. Calgary #5 because I don't like their quarterback situation and their team is overall not very impressive. The East, I agree with it. Montreal #1. I'm impressed by Montreal because they traded us a top 3 quarterback in the league, and Bernard Adams Jr. replaced him with Cody Fajardo, and then they won the Grey Cup.
And who knew Cody Fajardo would go on like an 8-0 run to end the year last year, and of course he won yesterday, so it's 9-0 since. I mean, they were like under 500, and they had like a 2011 with the like Lions kind of resurgence where they just rallied off a bunch of wins to win the Grey Cup, right? Like that's
That was a fantastic end to the
yeah.
end to
I
the
mean,
Grey Cup. To a last-minute drive to win it.
Oh, that was
yeah. I
electric.
Thrilled us
mean,
all.
although as happy as I was for Montreal beating Winnipeg. Unfortunately, that leaves BC as the second longest drought because the last time Montreal won the Grey Cup was 2010 against
Oh,
or was it the
yeah.
Riders? Yeah,
Yeah, this is the year after the
that
infamous
year.
13th man.
yeah,
And I guess
that
it's
was
Hamilton with the longest drought now.
Yep.
yeah. Hamilton still has the longest drought since like 1998, which I
Unbelievable.
I hope that doesn't get that drought doesn't get nearly as long for us. I mean, this is where it stops. This 13 years is where it stops, right? Because
Enough is
people are going
enough.
into high school and they haven't won, the Lions win a Grey Cup.
I was last
Uh,
5 years old, which when I first started elementary school when the Lions won the Grey Cup, and I'm graduating high school in 2 weeks. So I hope I can
Wouldn't that be a
start
great
off
way
my
to go
college.
full circle?
yes,
I will start off my
absolutely.
college career with a Grey Cup win this year. Let's hope.
Okay,
In
so
BC.
yeah, NBC, yes, and yeah, I'll and fingers crossed. I mean, with some situation where I can actually go to that game, but for now, I'm
Fingers crossed.
yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, so yeah, I'm glad that well, I mean, the consensus is well, so far, I mean, yeah, you guys agree with what I've got, right? But yeah, just
I agree
some
with all
slight
the
differences.
East.
Yeah, I do too.
Yep. And over East, okay.
It's crazy
Yeah.
that we have a division in the league that's 4 teams.
And one that's 5. That's why we need a
I love the
10th team in
19
Halifax.
format. The
Yeah.
Schooners.
The Schooners, or well, I mean, I was watching a CBC Vancouver interview where the yeah, well, was interviewing Randy Ambrosi, like he was in front of BC Place, and the news guy kind of said asked about Quebec City or Halifax, and of course well, Randy kind of gave like a boilerplate answer, or it's more like oh well, it's kind of like a we'll wait and see kind of approach with both Quebec City or Halifax, right? But I would think that man, I do hope that we will see Halifax and soon, right? I mean, hey, I mean, I mentioned that BC doesn't really have like any true named rivalry. We could have that with Halifax. We could have like the cross country rivalry, right?
Coast to coast rivalry.
The coast to coast rivalry. We'll have to unfortunately the Halifax people will have to stay up very late to watch our games in BC because they've got it like 5 hours ahead or so, 4 or 5 hours ahead. Just ooh.
For now, they'll get their touchdown Atlantic, and we will remain with our touchdown Pacific for the first time, which is really exciting.
Oh, I
This
can't
year,
wait.
yeah.
And we will all be there.
This is
Yeah,
true.
all of us, yes, including our hype man.
Yes.
There we go.
Our hype man Simba. Yeah, we'll yeah, I have I have a lot of thoughts about what we're gonna be doing like in the lead up to that game, but so far we're just gonna be yeah, we'll just be doing like we got our season predictions, and yeah, we'll just we'll just hope that by the time we get to that game, I mean, the Lions will be in a pretty good place, so that if we lose that game, it's not gonna matter too much, right? Yeah. Okay, so I guess
We pausing?
okay, so yeah, sorry about that cut there. We had to take a little break. Yeah, so we'll get into the standings, no, not the standing, the schedule now, to see what kind of important games are coming up, and then after that we'll talk about the week 1 game with the Toronto Argonauts, and
And we'll wrap it
just
up.
and then we'll wrap it up. So so after the Argonauts game, I mean, we got the Stampeders. I think man, they scored 30. They just scored 32 points in their win against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Yeah,
Does that
man, I
count?
can't. I mean, they got like an old Bo Levi Mitchell on the team. I mean, I mean, I imagine he did okay, but it wasn't enough for the
Yeah.
win. But anyways, yeah. So I mean, that's going to be the home. Well, that'll be the home opener against the Stampeders on the 15th. I think we should be able to win that. I think we should.
That should be a great. They need to, because they've got 50,000 people at the game. So like,
No, wait.
Yep,
if the 50
that's
cent
going to be
concert
the
go
50
ahead, like
cent game.
if they lay an egg in this one, that's going to be a real problem.
Yep.
So like, in terms of, the future of the franchise, getting casual fans back in the stands, that game of all games is like a must win.
Yeah, we're always going to have the real fans, the diehards in the stadium, but if we want
Yeah.
to attract new ones, it could be huge if we win that game. And I think we can. The last 2 home openers, we've blown out the other team, which I think on both occasions was Edmonton. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Calgary is going to get the other side of the Alberta Iowa here. We're going to give them hell.
We're going to give them hell.
Yep. And then, of course, week 3 is going to be our first major test where we play the Bombers for the first of 3 against them, right?
This one's huge.
Friday at 5:30.
And that'll be on the road. And if you guys remember last year, in the same spot. I mean, like the first Lions Bombers game that was on the road, we killed them 30-6, right? Like they had the
I wasn't
same
watching that
offensive
game,
inept.
but it was wild. I
I know
heard.
that was the same. It was the same offensive ineptitude from yesterday against Montreal when it was, and it was the same last year, right? It was if we can put them down here, I mean, that would be huge, right? That was, uh, but of course, it's 1 out of 3, but that's on the road. That's going to be pretty tough. I mean, if I'm looking at the schedule in June, so those are the first 3 June games, and then the last June game will be against Edmonton at home. So we've got two road games and 2 home games to balance out the June.
So it's
So I'm
not that bad.
thinking. So yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, I say we should be able to beat the Argos and Stampeders. I'm gonna be a little. It's gonna be 50-50 of the Bombers, and I got a bad feeling about Edmonton.
Oh, they're gonna come out swinging.
Yeah,
They play
I have a
tomorrow,
bad feeling
so
about it.
we'll have to wait and see how they do tomorrow.
We'll have to wait and see.
The
Yeah.
game's been
Last
the game's
year,
been moved up till the afternoon. Might play into things. I don't know.
There's. I mean, they've been doing this. The Lions have been doing this for a few years now, where the summer games have been earlier in the day, like usually around 4 o'clock p.m. instead of the usual 7 p.m. or games. Yeah, they've been
Doing that the
having
last few
those.
years. Personally, I hate it. But
Yeah.
you can all come for me in the comments and our social media channels. That personally, I hate 4 p.m. games, but
I'm gonna
I
say
recognize that I'm in the minority on that one.
I
Probably
don't like
yeah.
4 p.m. home games because I go to the games and I want to eat dinner afterwards, and Costco closes at 6 p.m. So I can't eat at Costco after the game. I could do it before the game, but that would be at 3 o'clock. So it throws off my eating schedule a bit. But generally,
Yeah.
it's fun to be in an afternoon game where the stadium is packed.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, most of the June games are either. But yeah, most of the June games are either before 7, so yeah, 4
Except
o'clock.
the
Or
Elks game on the Thursday.
yeah, well, this is Pacific time though. I mean, the road games are usually, if it's in the East, it's gonna be a 4 o'clock start. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
It's a lot of 4
Uh,
p.m. starts. Jeez, I'm looking at this, and almost every game is a 4 p.m. Well,
We got Sunday, July
yeah,
7th, 4
yeah.
o'clock. Then Saturday, July 13th against the Riders, another 4 o'clock. Then the following Sunday, the 21st, another 4 o'clock BC at Calgary. So 3 consecutive 4 o'clock games. Be good for the TV viewers in the summer.
it's freaking 5:30 p.m. Bomber start times. Disgrace.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
5:30. Well, yeah, in Central Time that would be 7:30. So that's kind of our usual time for 7 o'clock games. But
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah. So in July, yeah, we start out with with Tiger Cats on the road. And I think we should be able to beat Tiger Cats there, and then the Riders.
The
Again,
Riders tend to
rivalry.
do well at BC Place. It's the last
They
few
tend to
years,
do well. Yeah.
Lions have had a tough
Again.
time beating them.
Last year, you guys were at Riders versus Lions at BC Place. We did the same thing the year before. Last year we won it. The year before we lost, but we didn't have a quarterback that game.
No, the first section 214 inaugural game. I want to call that the inaugural game, right? Like the 2 years ago, the Riders one. Yeah, that was a
2 years.
brutal watch because again, we bought tickets before hoping it's, I bought the tickets to that game like right when Nathan Rourke was balling out and he was fantastic playing, and then like the week before the game. I mean, again, as I mentioned, like the week before the game, he gets injured for almost half the season, and it was.
Yeah.
And thankfully it didn't hurt us too much. I mean, BC still won their games. I mean, we're kind of on press. We're kind of hoping that Vernon Adams remains healthy because he has had some injury issues last year too with the ankle. All right, but I think he's going to be motivated to win a lot of these games. I mean, especially on the road, right? Road games are pretty tough. I mean, it's a pretty road heavy
Road heavy schedule to open up.
Yeah,
open up. Yeah.
really backloaded in terms of home games because I looked in September onwards when I'm starting college, there will be 4 BC Lions home games in the last 5 games. That's not convenient for me. So,
4 of the last
yeah,
5 of the last 7 are at home. They
yeah,
don't, after September 6th, they do not have a road game until October 12th.
yeah.
And
I,
My birthday.
I
there's
don't
a
quite
bye
know
in
how
there.
it could be work in our favor because we get home advantage for some potentially big games, or they could be meaningless, however you want, however it works out.
Yeah, so like I don't know.
Yeah,
It kind of worries me in terms of attendance and
yeah.
just the meaningfulness of those games. It could, could split either way depending on how we do.
Yeah, depending how we do in like the earlier games, right? And I mean, especially well, I mean, yeah, we end off July with a bunch of Western opponents, and then a couple Western opponents like the Wilders and then the Stampeders, and then August 1st will be the second Bombers game. Um, on the road again. So I mean, two out of the 3 games with the Bombers will be on the road. That'll be a very telling way to see if the Lions are really gonna put the foot in the gas pedal on the talk about contending for a Grey Cup. Like we need to come out strong more than one game, probably.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, yeah. Then after the second Bombers game, it'll be the Elks on the road. Yeah, the Lions will be in Edmonton on the road. Man,
August
I
11th.
yeah,
Couple of Sunday afternoon games there, which is a
a lot
new
of
thing for the CFL. They didn't used to play a lot of Sunday games, but I think last year was they started in the summer having a Sunday game every week, and I liked it because that meant throughout most of the summer there was CFL on 4 days a week, which was
yeah,
really
Oh, that's
nice.
awesome.
and then obviously as soon as the NFL season starts, the Sunday games go away because there's no way you're
Yeah,
gonna
Yeah,
yeah
you can't clash for that.
can't
no,
compete with that. Anyways, so yeah, after the August 11th, it's back home and it's against Winnipeg.
and that's
It's a
it,
shame
Right?
and
that
that's it for playing the Bombers.
it's the
That's it.
game of the year.
We're done playing the Bombers before Labor Day.
It's a
Yeah,
crucial 2 weeks.
Yeah,
yeah, and then crucial 2 weeks, and then of course we got like a home and home against the Red Blacks. Technically, I mean we play Ottawa like in Ottawa on August 24th, and then of course August 31st is Touchdown Pacific,
Oh yeah.
which
that's gonna be great.
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to. I had a silly idea. Um, I'm not sure my dad's gonna like it, but I'm gonna like, can I wear a little bit of Sens gear today? I'm like, nope.
Mm,
No, you can't do
no,
that.
No,
we're vetoing it right here, right now.
yeah. Okay, good. Just a silly idea, because yeah.
Yep, it went.
Um.
You'd be the only
Uh.
Ottawa fan in the stadium. So I don't know how many of their fans will be there. It'll be a
Oh, I don't know
pure home
about that.
game. Yeah,
I'm sure there will be
I'm
Wet
sure there'll
Blacks
be a
fans
few
will travel,
diehards.
but
And Victoria
yeah,
is
maybe.
a nice place to live. I live here, so it's a great city.
yeah,
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 you're from Victoria.
That's right.
yeah.
So like,
Oh yeah,
it's a great
that's
place.
oh yeah. Also, before we talk about the rest of the game, that we forgot to mention that in our introduction that we're getting the hang of this. Don't worry.
Yeah, we will get there.
Yeah, yeah. In our introduction, I mean, of course, we're all within the Lower Mainland. I'm from Port Moody, which is part of the Tri Cities. Between well, I mean, it's surrounded by Coquitlam right around the Broad Inlet, but Port Moody is also a really nice and pretty cool city to live in.
I like that area.
Yeah,
I went up
it's
there, yeah, to try Mary Brown's chicken once, which Jacob can agree with.
Very good.
yeah.
No
I
Mary
should try
Brown's
that
fans
too.
here. Hint, hint.
Yeah,
Um,
Sponsorship opportunity. Sponsor this podcast.
Mary Brown's. I mean, hey, yeah, I'll do that rather than any other. Anyway, so yeah, I'm from Port Moody. It's about like it's an hour's drive away from Vancouver, but in terms
I'd
of
hope not.
SkyTrain, yeah, well, I mean, it's a
Depending on the
drive, but
traffic.
but thanks to the magic of the SkyTrain, I can
Love
go
the
on.
SkyTrain.
Yeah, thanks to a recent expansion of the SkyTrain that goes into goes all the way up into Coquitlam into the Douglas College David Lamb campus. I wish I had that in my early college years though. But yeah, it was in the middle of it. But yeah, I am able to basically take like 10 minutes. It takes 10 minutes for me to walk to Coquitlam Station, and off I go to the stadium. But I mean, unfortunately, I'm not going to be going to a Lions game in BC Place technically, right? But uh yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I'm from Port Moody. So,
I live out in South Vancouver, a 15-minute SkyTrain ride to BC Place. A 15-minute walk to the SkyTrain, so my commute to the game is 40 minutes. I go take it to Costco every time, eat Costco every game day, and every Canucks game day, so I'm a bit of an addict. I don't have much of a game day routine, not much to say for me here. Pass
yeah,
it on to Jacob.
my game day routine is usually going to Red Robins or I mean lately I've been going to the Waves near BC Place as well, just for
Oh yeah,
Frappuccino.
Nice.
Yeah.
the one
I
by the
like
library.
I love the yeah, and also my dad had a hand in building the Vancouver Public Library too. So
Did he?
it was yeah,
What a
and
building.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I guess for me,
uh,
I grew up in East Vancouver near Hastings Street, take the R5 bus down to the games. And now I'm in Victoria. So I will not be going to very many games, but I will be around for the Touchdown Pacific festivities and we'll all be in person for that. So that'll be nice.
It'll be fun. It will be our
yeah,
one chance this year to meet up with each other all at once. So we'll
Exactly.
make the most
all
of
at
it.
once. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, certainly. I mean, we can do. I'm thinking we can do like like post like a quick video of all of us going like depending on if it's a win or not. Like if it's a win, we can go.
Better be.
Yeah, we won. Yes. Yeah. But
We
anyways,
we had that plan for the Saskatchewan game 2 years ago, and we didn't win that game. So this will be our revenge tour.
You
yeah.
got this.
Unfortunately, in Touchdown Pacific, there is no Section 214 in the stadium, though. So
No.
no.
I think I'm in section 7. I'm not sure. Check that out.
Well, it'd be 7 times. Well, it's 214 divided by 7. No.
I will be
Yeah.
sitting in section 17.
There you go. That's just 197 less than 214.
Yeah.
And Jacob, I think you'll be sitting in the same section as me, right?
I believe that's where I
Midfield.
managed to get tickets, but
Yeah.
I'll have to see. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna
I
see.
think so.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, I mean, like if you're listening to this and you're also going to a Touchdown Pacific game, I mean, if you also happen to be going there, I mean, like you can meet up with us before the game for sure.
yeah,
That'd be great.
Oh, would
would
love
be
that.
awesome.
I'm trying to find where I'm sitting here. Here we go.
You would be sitting in the wheelchair section.
Yeah, wheelchair section. Good. I mean, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair, as if it wasn't too evident. Yeah, I mean, it'll be easy to find a wheelchair section, I'm sure, but so yeah, continuing on with oh, hang on, I gotta get the schedule back. I was in my email for a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, after the of course Touchdown Pacific game, and then it's going to be another special game. It'll be on the road against Montreal, but it'll be exactly on my birthday while I turn 29.
Oh,
There
So
you go.
yep. Uh,
we love a
so
birthday game.
yeah,
I
every time there's a birthday game, I'm like, yeah, like victory would be nice. So I mean, especially if Montreal is going to be #1 in the East, like I predicted. Uh, but yeah, after the September 6th game, it'll be back home. I mean, back home against the Argos on the 13th, and it'll be a long time between games. So
We got a bye in there, and then we got
will play.
Hamilton on the
oh
27th, and then Calgary on the 4th. That's the three home games in 4 weeks thing. So if we
This
got
makes me
some injuries,
realize
Injuries
We
and
played
stuff.
the whole East Division in 4 weeks.
Whole East Division in 4 weeks at home. Now
And
it's
we will conquer the East.
Quite
conquer the
literally.
East in our den, right? And in
Yeah.
our Lions den. And then yeah, oh yeah, yeah, there was a bye week between in late July too. Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Works
Uh
perfectly with my travel schedule.
yep.
That's
And
perfect.
yeah, so yeah, we got like the whole East from September mostly, and then like the last Riders game is on the October the 12th on the road. But yeah, I mean, and I don't, yeah, so overall, I mean, this schedule was it's, I mean, they're putting, it's front loading, but like the Lions and Bombers games are being pretty much front loaded in the summer, right? I mean, like which is
Which I don't really like
bad.
personally.
It's bad for our hearts, and also it's going to make me sweat buckets, considering how hot our summers have been getting.
Oh, yes.
Man, we're just gonna age. I'm gonna age. So do you. And I'm probably gonna have like half my hair be turning gray by the end of the year. Just, like,
Well,
oh no.
I want
Uh,
to go ahead and say something about the CFL schedule. Our glorious king, Wally Buono, said the CFL schedule, there's 3/3 to it. So, 3/3 is like a different section of the season for each team. Remember last year, the first third of the season, we came off to a good start. It felt like no one was going to beat us. And then the middle third of the season, we all fell apart. I had
And
no
mhm.
confidence in that in August stretch of the year. I think we ended off the year strong in the last third of the season, but that Winnipeg loss really just ended it for us. So
that was demoralizing.
That was very demoralizing. I said I said all of last year to our section 214 group chat, and I'm gonna keep repeating it like this year. I'm gonna keep hammering it home. Uh, I think generally the best chance for BC to contend for a Grey Cup, we have to host the Western Conference final
Oh
because
yes, there's no doubt about that.
yeah,
I we have a recent history, and like and this goes before. I mean, Hammer's been watching Lion game recently, but like every crossover game for the Lions have been ending in blowouts. Now with the dark period too, but yeah, there hasn't been. I think they've only won. They barely won like a road playoff games right there. Yeah, I feel much more confident with the Lions playing at home, like hosting a home playoff game, and that was evident last year against Calgary. Right? I mean Calgary was a bit of a minnow opponent. I mean, like they were kind of they had what 7 wins or
6
and
and 12 playoff team.
6-12 playoff team. That's how
Right.
bad the West was below BC and Winnipeg. Right? It
I was
was
hoping we get an East crossover for the memes, but Ottawa wasn't good enough, and I thought they could
Ottawa
pull it
wasn't.
off.
Yeah,
Maybe
it,
this
it
will be
was.
the year we get an East crossover.
That
Who
would be
knows?
really cool for all
It
the
would be funny.
trivia
Yeah,
nerds. I'd love it.
Something we don't
yeah.
normally see.
We've literally never
Trivia.
seen it. It's literally never happened.
No. Yeah, like yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the closest it's been where Edmonton has been in the Eastern Conference final. I believe it was 2018 or that was I think that was Mike Wiley like last year as a
Mike Riley.
Edmonton team
Oh
player.
Some teams have gotten so close, but we've never had a crossover Grey Cup.
nope. Maybe this
Should
year.
have been
No.
us one of those years in the 2010s, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. I mean, like we kept constantly getting just blown out in crossover games in the East, right? It wasn't fun.
No, that's
Uh,
not fun.
no, I mean, hopefully we're going to be the ones to do that to East crossover teams, right? Like,
Yes,
we got to put our stick in the sand and say enough's enough, right? We got to be the team that most of the Western League fears. I'm not sure if the Bombers fear us as much because
they should by
look
the end
at.
of this year.
I hope they eat their words, and like if you're gonna Bombers fan, if you're gonna smack talk us here, we're we've got receipts. We're gonna keep receipts, right?
We will, and we're
We're
going to
gonna keep
back
those
those up.
receipts.
Yes, we should
So
probably
yeah,
move on before we wrap it up to preview
uh,
the actual game. It's coming
yeah,
up
the game, BC versus Toronto in week 1 on
Sunday,
Sunday, June the
4
9th.
4 o'clock. Nice
The
afternoon game.
Argonauts, just a couple days ago, I don't know, they signed Arbuckle. I know you mentioned him a little while ago in the podcast. I don't know if
Right.
he's going to be given a shot. The Argos have their QB in. I deleted the tab, so I don't know. Who's their quarterback?
Wait, yeah, I'm looking at my notes. I said Cameron Dukes. I put like
Yeah.
in parentheses like likely. Uh, um, yeah, I mean, yeah, for that game, I think even if it's not Chad Kelly starting, I mean, again, Chad Kelly, his off-field conduct has gotten suspended for 9 games, but I mean, I imagine because I think the 9 games, like he should be back for the second Toronto game in September, right?
Mhm.
Like when we're home. But
Yeah.
yeah, for this game, we have to take advantage of I mean,
What
Toronto
they get
playing
out.
their backup, right?
Oh yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
And
100%.
again, last year, like our man here, like at JS, he's been at the Toronto
I was at the
game last
game
year.
last year, and the
Yeah.
Lions played the Argos. It was not pretty. Vernon
Mm.
Adams threw, I think, 6 interceptions, and at the end of the game, the
Oh.
guy I went with said, "Hey, you want to go see some of the players after the game?" And I said, "I would, but I'd have nothing nice to say. So what's the point?" I traveled all the way there, for this trip to see this
Yeah.
game, and well, that happened. It was a very sad ride on the streetcar after I was looking at other Lions fans, and we just gave ourselves these kind of really,
Oh,
sad expressions. You kind of had to be there.
it hurts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what sucks if you only cheer for one team. I mean, like I cheer for multiple teams in different sports, but when you're cheering for just one team mainly in a sport, like your emotions go through highs and lows like so much more, and it's like or if 2 of your favorite teams are playing against each other, you can kind of just sit back and relax and just enjoy it, right? But when it's one team against the rest of the league, it's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That's true.
Crazy stuff.
but yeah, I guess so yeah, so yeah, I think so for this game, I think we should take advantage of Toronto's quarterbacking situation as best we can, and having watched some material that the Lions have put out for the training camp, and I do believe that yeah, I do believe that we can have as long as we shut down, because even with the changing quarterback for the moment, I do Toronto's still a pretty good team, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, they won the Eastern Conference Final last year, and yeah, if it wasn't for facing, I think if it wasn't for facing like a hot Montreal team, I think they would have gone to back-to-back Grey
I
Cup
agree.
championship games, right?
I
Yeah,
don't know if they would have won it, but they would have been there. So we got to give them
yeah, I
credit
think
where credit's due.
yeah, I mean, and again, as much as I have my Toronto hate glasses on,
They've had a
like my
run.
Toronto hater glasses on, I mean, like it's funny because like I don't like I don't like Toronto, but I mean like the Argos are kind of like low on my hate rate for them right now because they're not even though like my first ever Lions game I watched was them well, but yeah, the first time like they were like I was watching the team like and then yeah, I was watching the team and then yeah, they went on to lose to Toronto in the Grey Cup in 2004, right? Like I didn't have that much hate for them, but yeah, I still it's a
Mhm.
battle of it's basically a battle of two teams that are looking to avenge themselves in conference final appearances
So both
against
teams have a bit of a chip
Yeah,
on their shoulder for this one.
they do.
yep.
About last year's conference final, we lost two key players to Achilles injuries. We lost star wide receiver Keon Hatcher, and we lost TJ Lee, who I really like. And in the CFL, the way it works, you lose a third of your team every offseason. Like it's basically in a couple of years,
Hmm.
you'll have an expansion team again. So we had a few new additions. There was the running back, stand back. I'm also really excited for the wide receivers. I think I watched the preseason game. I think Barry Hill will be very good. He had a good game. I thought
Yeah,
last year in the preseason, Aiden Eberhard had a good preseason. And he never got his shot in the regular season because we had a really good wide receiver core. I think this year he finally gets his shot and is going to break through. Another player I'm really high on is Alexander Hollins, who scored a touchdown in the preseason game. So there's a lot of options for Vernon Adams, and you got to
Just needs to
utilize
take
them
advantage
well.
of them and
Yep,
get off to a
he
good
doesn't
start.
yeah,
he doesn't miss a throw, so his target's got to do well.
yeah. On it, yeah. I mean, of course, we also had like a big. Well, I mean, I mean, the main loss I was sad about from this offseason with Matthew Betts. He's gone over to the Detroit version of the Lions. So
Oh,
he's on
that's a
the
loss, major loss for us.
yeah. He was my personal favorite player on the team because he was so fast on the edge rushing and it was like it was insane seeing his speed. It was like watching Adam Big Hill all over again, except this time it's like an edge rusher speed instead of like being a pure linebacker, right? Uh, and of
That would
course
hurt.
and of course although, to make up for the loss of Matthew Betts on defense, I am interested to see how Christian Covington will do to
Mhm.
replace him because he was the big get in the offseason. Like he's got plenty of, I want to say he's got a ton of, he's got a ton of like NFL experience with different teams over the past 9 years. Uh, he's a hometown guy who had, like he's from Vancouver, right? And he got like a ton of NFL experience, and I'll be interested to see how he does to replace Matthew Betts.
Yeah, I
Um,
was I was on the way home from the preseason game and we were listening to the radio and Covington was being interviewed and he seemed very enthusiastic about playing in BC. I like this team because we do have players who actually want to be here, who want to work hard. I can tell Vernon
We
Adams is
haven't
working very
had in the
hard.
past, cough, cough, Nathan Rourke, but we'll get
Mm,
into that. We'll get into that in another episode.
someday we will. But
yeah, get used to us lamenting about Nathan Work, and I mean,
And me hating on him.
yeah,
trust in our current QB. We love him.
That's true. We do.
we trust Vernon Adams. I mean, hey, and Vernon Adams, if you're watching this, we're rooting for you, man. We hope that you have like about as like an injury-free season as possible,
Oh,
and
pray.
you know, this, I'm sure like this. I mean, this is an important year for the fans. Like, we're hosting the Grey Cup. We're seen as, I want to say, we're seen as contenders too, right? I mean, hell, even in the Toronto game, like a lot of the CFL.ca staff writers, they have overwhelmingly picked us to win, right? Like it's a clean sweep.
We're
Win
no
the
Right?
longer
division,
underdogs. All right.
and we got to do it.
No longer, nope,
We'll
no
see.
longer. I'm happy about that, right? Like, and I'm excited to, you know, start the journey off on Sunday. And yeah, any final thoughts before we end it, or
I guess excited to get the season going. Is it finally June? Yes, it is.
finally June? And
Finally June, and I can't wait.
yeah, and yeah, I hope you'll yeah, I hope any viewers will be around to you know yeah, be around to say that, we were here when the Section 214 podcast did an interview with Ahmad and
I
Future
like we
agree.
goals
were,
is a few years
One
down
day.
the road, but we will do that one day.
One day.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
this is the genesis of our podcast, and we'll try and get better as we go along, but we'll yeah, but for now,
Hey,
yeah, that'll be it for us, and yeah, we have our socials down below in the description to
Yes, I'll just
yeah,
outline them real quickly. So we're on Instagram at section 214 pod. So it's set the
the
word section
words.
and then the numbers 214 and then pod, section 214 pod. That's the same as we are on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. We're on Twitter at section 214
never
pod
X.
as well.
Nope.
And then also you can email us. We have an email address. This is very cool. It's all letters. Section 214, all the words, sectionTwoforteen@gmail.com. And I expect a round of applause for spelling that correctly off the top of my head.
Yeah, good job. Yeah.
So yes, you can email us there. We will read some of your comments, maybe give feedback, maybe banter a little bit. I don't know. Either way,
We're here to have some
Yeah,
fun.
feedback.
yeah, we've got 2 days between now and the game starting, but I mean, yeah, hey, just fire us off a comment you if you have any thoughts about how the season, just comment us to see if you agree with our season predictions, or if you I mean, if you're an Argos fan watching this, just don't go too hard on us if
Bear
we're
with
confident
us.
that we're gonna beat you and then we end up losing. And if it's Nick Arbuckle again, it's gonna give me flashbacks to the collapse like 6 years ago when he was on Calgary, right? Anyways, yeah, so that's yeah, you can also, I mean, we have our socials, but you can also, reach us individually on Discord. I'll have our usernames in the description too, so that you can have individual correspondence with us. And um so yeah, that's that about wraps it up. So I guess we'll see you either after Sunday's game or like Monday evening,
We'll see how it goes.
depending on
How it all works out. We will see you guys next time.
All right. Bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye-bye.